Welcome to Midfield Sportscast and the 29th episode of the Divided Friendship Podcast. Today, it is me, Maddyx, it is Dawson, and it is Luke.
Yeah.
And we are back for episode 29 of the Divided Friendship Podcast. This time, we are doing our Week 1 review. Predictions for Week 2. We are revealing the leaders of the predictions so far between the three of us. Who has the most points? We will also give our upset picks of the week. We will talk about Ohio State and Michigan's game. Let's start with whoever wants to start with the game reviews. I guess I can. So, let's review number 1 Georgia against 14 Clemson. What a terrible game. It was 6-0 at halftime, and then we come out second half, and Georgia puts up 14 in the third, 14 in the fourth, and Clemson scored 3 points the rest of the game. Terrible game by Clemson in the second half. Klubnik went 18 for 29 for 142 yards and an interception. Phil Maffa couldn't run the ball, 16 carries, 59 yards. Williams, the leading receiver, 6 catches for 76 yards. Carson Beck did really good in this game, 23 for 33, 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. Frazier had 11 carries, 83 yards and a touchdown. Humphreys, the leading receiver, 2 catches, 63 yards, and 1 touchdown. We all kind of expected Georgia to win, but definitely not in this fashion. All three of us picked Georgia to win, and we all three got it right and got the points for that. So whoever wants to review the next game.
Okay, I know this wasn't on the list of the games that we picked, but Oregon and Idaho. Oregon only beat Idaho by 10 at home. That's very disappointing. It was 17-14 up until not a lot of time left in the fourth quarter, but the Oregon was able to get a touchdown and got a pick on defense, and that would seal the game. But what an atrocious start for Oregon. I mean, it's not Dylan Gabriel 41 for 49, 380 yards and 2 touchdowns. That would make you think that Oregon would have done better with that stat line. Also, Jordan James 15 carries, 135 total yards, 95 of those rushing, and 1 touchdown. Yeah, that would make you think that Oregon did a little bit better than they did. But the Idaho, what are they called? The Vandals? The Vandals almost snuck a win in against the Ducks. But not a good start for a very hyped up Oregon team.
An almost upset would have been huge. Texas Tech and Abilene Christian. Texas Tech won this game 52-51 in overtime off of a failed 2-point conversion from the Wildcats. I mean, there's no reason this should happen. Texas Tech was a lot of people's sleeper Big 12 team coming into the season. You can't just beat an FCS team by 1. That's not acceptable. Both quarterbacks had great games. Abilene Christian's quarterback Maverick McVore threw for 506 passing yards on 36 catches. That is wild. Anyways, got off track. Another game that needs to be talked about, Miami and Florida. The Canes, 41-17, dominant victory in the Swamp. Great debut from Cam Ward as a member of the Miami Hurricanes. He went 26 for 35, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. Xavier Restrepo was his leading receiver, 7 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Jacoby George also caught a touchdown pass, as well as the 9th-year senior Cam McCormick. Now for Florida offensively, Graham Mertz just couldn't get it going. 11 for 20, 91 yards, 1 interception. The only person that was really going for Florida all day, Montrell Johnson Jr., 11 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. Average almost 10 a carry. Can't do much better than that. But all in all, Florida just got dominated this game by Miami. It really wasn't close. 25 Miami first downs of Florida 17. 529 total yards for the Hurricanes and 261 for the Gators. outpassed them for about 200 yards, slightly outrushed them, but Miami looks dangerous right now.
I will head to Penn State, West Virginia, with a game that was also on our prediction list. And me and Dawson got this game right. Luke, on the other hand, got it wrong. He picked West Virginia. Penn State won this game 34-12 in a dominant win. They scored 20 points in the second quarter to push them to the victory. Drew Allar played one of his best games he has ever played. 11 for 17 for 216 yards and 3 touchdowns. Green did not get it done in the air, threw for 161 yards, no touchdowns. They also didn't run the ball great, 12 carries, 42 yards, and a touchdown for Donaldson Jr. on West Virginia. Singleton, 13 carries, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Wallace, the third from Penn State, went for 117 and 2 touchdowns. Those are some of the performances Penn State had to push them to this win, and their defense played great, only giving up 12 points, and they look pretty good this year. They also had a little thing where they put in Bo Pribula. Is that how you say it? I think that's how you say it. Their backup quarterback. He came in to run the ball sometimes, and he did pretty decent at it. 3 carries for 25 yards. He threw 1 pass for 19 yards and had a touchdown. So, yeah, Penn State beats West Virginia. Whoever's next.
All right, I'm gonna go with Notre Dame, Texas A&M here. Texas A&M kept it close up until 2-minute warning. It was tied at 13. Then first play out of the 2-minute warning, which that's in college football now. We didn't really go over that a lot, but rushing touchdown from Notre Dame. That was Jeremiah Love getting a 21-yard touchdown run, and then Texas A&M went 4 and out, and then gave up a field goal, and that basically sealed the game. Very good game and a insane crowd per usual from the Aggies, especially to start the year. Yeah, at the start though, start wasn't very offensive. Went into halftime 6-6. Second half action started to pick up a little bit, and Notre Dame ends up picking up the win, 23-13.
All right, and the last game that we will be recapping from week 1 will be an upset by the Vanderbilt Commodores. Beat Virginia Tech 34-27 in overtime at home, which many people thought Virginia Tech was a playoff sleeper. Don't know if you can be much of a playoff sleeper if you're losing to Vanderbilt. I don't care what your excuse is. Vanderbilt, maybe they're better than normal this year, but I still don't think they're anything special. And if you're a so-called playoff sleeper, you should not lose that game. For Virginia Tech, Kyron Drones, 22 for 33, 322 yards, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception. So not a bad stat line for him. His leading receiver was Ali Jennings, 2 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. For Vanderbilt, New Mexico State transfer Diego Pavia, who led New Mexico State to an upset last year over, who do they beat?
What?
Okay.
What do you say?
Diego Pavia, 12 for 16,
What?
190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
What did you say?
And he also ran for 104 yards on the ground, as well as Cedric Alexander going for
Cedric
70
Alexander.
and a touchdown. Quincy Skinner Jr. was the leading receiver for Vanderbilt, 4 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Vanderbilt actually had a chance to walk this one off in regulation. I do believe they missed a 45-yard field goal, which sent it to overtime. But yeah, ultimately the result of this game was very surprising to most people around the country, and it was definitely a shock to me. Did not see this coming.
Bro, what did you say?
go on to the next segment.
No,
Yep.
dude.
Oh, I also have an announcement to be made
But he has an announcement.
eventually in this episode.
Oh.
All right, on to our top 5 game of the week predictions.
I'm gonna leave the best for last. Okay. So I'll go with you guys. Best for last. Okay. Let's start from the bottom and move up.
Wait. You got to discuss the scores.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I'm not gonna go over how we got here. Well, I'll say who got what game right. So I already talked about Clemson, Georgia. We all got it right. Penn State, West Virginia. Me and Philly both got that right. Luke and Philly both got Miami and Florida right. I got that one wrong. Notre Dame, A&M. Me and Philly got that right. And then none of us got USC,
Nobody.
LSU. So right now,
Did we talk about the USC and LSU
No,
game?
we did not.
no, we didn't. We also didn't talk about Florida State losing again. But
That's not important. They're 0-2.
well, LSU lost.
Both LSU and USC's defenses looked very good.
A lot
Was
better than
very
in the
shocked
past.
with USC. That new defensive coordinator, Anton Lynn, if he can keep that up, because LSU's a pretty good offense. If he can keep that up throughout Big Ten play, I think they can probably contend for a Big Ten title.
Yeah, that was very surprising. But right now, Philly has 4 points. I have 3 points, and Luke has 2 points. A disappointing week by Luke. Phil, y'all. Looking to bounce back. Nobody got any points besides picking a game correctly. So now we move on to the new week, episode 29, week 2's predictions. All right. Unranked versus unranked. We're going to start there. Colorado at Nebraska. Philly, what you got?
All right. Well, we got to see Dylan Raiola's first game as a Cornhusker. It didn't disappoint at all. 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also saw the Buffs play with New Mexico State at Folsom Field. That was a very close game as well. We know Colorado has the star power, but again, I think the offensive line was very, very shaky in the first game of the season, and that was their main focal point, was to improve their offensive line. Now, with that being said, we all know Nebraska's defense is very good, and I think if they can generate pressure on Colorado, I think this is a very winnable game for them. And I'm going to take the Cornhuskers 26-15.
All right. I'll go next. I'm going to go, I think, Nebraska. Not going to contend to the Big Ten, but I think they're going to be pretty decent. Better than usual, Nebraska. I think Raiola will help them a lot this year, but I also think Colorado really decent. I think they're going to be just a little bit better than last year, probably like 8-4-ish. I predicted them. I predicted them 6-6. So, and I'm gonna have them losing to Nebraska in Lincoln. Nebraska wins this one. I'm gonna go 42-38 in a close shootout. Luke, what you got?
All right. Well, we got to see Colorado against North Dakota State with a good game, put on a good show in Colorado. I don't know what city they play in. What city do they play in? Boulder. That's what it was. We got to see an incredible connection, well, multiple incredible connections between Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter is looking dominant, and Shador Sanders looks the same. But the fact that this game is in Lincoln, Nebraska, I think that Dylan Raiola is going to pick up the win for the Cornhuskers. I'm going to take Nebraska 28-25.
All right.
We all picked Nebraska there. I did not think that was going to
Nebraska,
happen.
you said 28-25.
Yep.
Okay, next up, we got. Let's go number 21, Iowa at home against Iowa State. Philly, thoughts?
All right, well, the Iowa offense, I know they were playing Illinois State, not really a very good team, FCS team, but 40-0, very impressive for what Iowa has been known to do in the past, in my opinion. Their offense didn't really just run strictly through tight ends and running backs. Cade McNamara actually was able to throw the ball to receivers. Iowa State, on the other hand, also had a very solid week one. We know their quarterback, Rocco Becht, is a very good player. And it's a rivalry game, so anything can happen. Battle for the Cy-Hawk. I am going to take the Hawkeyes in this one by a score of 22-20.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
That's an overtime prediction.
oh, baby. Overtime for Philly. One overtime?
Yeah.
All right. For me, I think it's going to be an Iowa win here. I think their defense is too good for Iowa State to beat them. I got Iowa with a win 28-10. Luke.
All right, well, I'm gonna have a low-scoring game prediction here, and it's not really too much to talk about. I mean, rivalry game. Just going straight to the point. I'm taking the Hawkeyes 14-6.
All right. Now moving along. We all pick Iowa. We all pick Nebraska. On to Arkansas at number 16, Oklahoma State. Philly, what do you got?
All right. See, I doubted Oklahoma State last week. I thought South Dakota State had a chance of upsetting them. Clearly was not the case, as they ended up winning very handedly. Arkansas, I also think, looked very good in their week one game, though. 7 touchdowns on 7 drives. They didn't go a drive without a touchdown. Matter of fact.
Matter of fact, baby.
Taylon Green, Jaquindon Jackson. That's a pretty big duo. Taylon Green, Boise State quarterback last year. Jaquindon Jackson, Utah running back last year. Both transferring to Arkansas, looking to kind of make their stamp on the SEC. And I think that they will pick up a signature win here on the road against a very experienced Oklahoma State team. I'm going to take Arkansas by a score of 31-24.
All right, that would be great for Philly if he got that one right, because it would give him more than just the 1 point. I'm going to go with a safe pick. I'm taking Oklahoma State here. Ollie Gordon leads them to a win. I'm going to say 35-31. Luke.
All right, like Matt Pat said, Ollie Gordon on this Oklahoma State team. Ollie Gordon, one of the best players in college football right now, and I think he will show that in this game. I'm going to take Oklahoma State 35-20.
Okay. Now on to number 14 Tennessee at 24 NC State. Interesting matchup here. SEC against ACC. Philly, what do you got?
NC State didn't look very good in their season opener against Western Carolina. Really struggled up until the very end of the game, even though they pulled away late off of an interception, I believe it was. I'm not sure on that. But Tennessee, on the other hand, looked very strong. I know their opponent was also an FCS opponent, but Nico Yamalueva also had 300. What?
Yamalueva?
How would you say it, Luke?
Iamaliava?
What the
No.
heck was that?
That is not how you say it.
Nico Iamaliava.
That is not how you say that.
I would make fun of somebody that's saying that.
I don't know if mine's right. I'm pretty sure it is, but
That's
I
how
know
I say
his
it.
isn't right. Anyways, he had, I think it was 324 passing yards in the first half, which I don't care who you're playing. That in one half is very good. So I'm going to take the Tennessee offense to overpower NC State, and I'm going to say Tennessee wins this one by a score of 38-17.
38-17, right?
Yep.
It's hard for me to listen and write. And think in my own head. I'm going to say, wait, this isn't actually at NC State, right? It's just a neutral site. Duke's Mayo Classic. I'm going to go, I think it's simple here. I think Tennessee wins it, and I think they win it kind of easily. I'm going to say Tennessee 31-13 with a win over NC State. Luke, what do you have?
All right, so we saw at North Carolina State didn't look so good in their opener against Western, whatever they were. Weren't a good team, and they weren't very good. Tennessee, on the other hand, played an also not good team, but looked a lot better. And I think Nico Iamaleava is going to lead Tennessee to a win over NC State, and I'm saying a blowout here, kind of a blowout. I'm going to say 38-10. Nico Iamaleava leads Tennessee to a win.
Iamaleava.
What was the score you said?
38-10.
That's not what you said the first
Um,
time. No,
Next up, we have number 3 Texas at number 10 Michigan. You guys are going to talk about this later in this podcast, but we also have to get a score prediction right now. So, Philly, give your score prediction. Pretty sure we all know who you think's going to win.
Well, can say Michigan's offense did not look the best in week 1. But there is also a lot of room to improve there. It's not like they're just messed up. That's the season. I mean, Davis Warren, that was his first career start. It was a lot of people's first career starts on that offense. I think our defense looked very good against a very solid Mountain West Conference opponent. Mountain West Conference opponent. But Texas also played a team from the Mountain West, won 52-0. Didn't struggle at all that game. Everything looked good. I'm sure they're content with what they have coming into this game. Michigan, on the other hand, with some question marks going into this game. And that is not something you want, especially when you're hosting a top 3 team in the country. So I'm really conflicted on what to pick here. But I do think it's in the big house. Obviously, Donovan Edwards didn't have a very good game last week. I don't think there's a shot in the world that he has another poor performance like that. And with that being said, I'm going to take Michigan's defense to pull them through this game. I'm going to take the Wolverines winning 17-13.
Low scoring game for Philly. I had a score written down, but I erased it because I don't think they're going to score that many points. I'm going to go with Texas here. Horns up. Don't really root for Texas normally. Don't hate Texas, but like to see teams get upset. But they're playing my least favorite team in college football. So I'm going to have Texas winning 24-13 in the big house. I think it'll be close until the end. And then I think Michigan's going to have to throw the ball. They're going to be forced into situations they don't want to. They're going to be forced to throw it. And Davis Warren's going to have to make plays, or Alex Orji's going to have to make plays. We'll see. But I'm going with Texas here. Luke, thoughts?
As much as I hate to say this,
I'm sorry.
as much as I hate to say this,
You're not picking Texas.
I don't think the Wolverines win it here. I don't think that Michigan picks up a
What the
win.
heck?
Offense did not look good against Fresno State. It's a close game all up until not much time left in the fourth. Davis Warren, I don't think he should be a starter. He has a great story of beating leukemia, which that's crazy comeback. But I think Alex Orji should be the starting quarterback.
Crazy comeback.
Yeah, but Texas just has the better offense, and we have a good defense. but I think that it's just going to be some plays and a few errors that's going to cost us this game. I'm taking Texas to get the win, 24-14.
Question:
You're
Why do you think Alex Orji should be the starting quarterback?
I just think he's a better overall quarterback. He can run. He can run around. He can't. I know he can throw the ball. I mean, I know we haven't seen him throw it that much in game. He's only thrown it a couple times. But spring game, he looked pretty good. No, so did Davis Warren. But we just saw what he did in this game, and he looked meh.
Okay, well, obviously there is a reason that Davis Warren was the starting quarterback and not Alex Orji.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that I know that I don't know as much as Sharon Moore, whoever's making that decision to put him at quarterback one. Of course I don't. But in my opinion, I just think Alex Orji is the better quarterback.
Well, whenever he did throw the ball, we saw what happened. I like Alex Orji, but we watched him throw the football, and he threw it 5 feet short of a wide open man on a rollout. You can't be a starter, especially not for a top 25 team, and not be able to make the easy throws. I don't care what kind of amazing plays he can make. If you can't make the simple ones, you shouldn't be the starter. And that's why Davis Warren is there. He doesn't have to, they're not asking him to do too much. That's what Alex Orji would come in and do. They'd be asking him to come in and do a lot. Run it, throw it, make the reads.
You just gotta hope it's not like the former Michigan quarterbacks in the past that they didn't have to do too much, but when it came down to the big games, they didn't do anything. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, that also comes with, if that's going to happen, we're going to have to pick up the running game.
Yes. And you have an entire new offensive line.
And obviously that takes time for them to gel together.
You guys need to talk about more of this when we get to the game board. Or do you just want to do it right now?
That comes.
I mean, we're already at the game part, basically.
So whatever you want, then I don't care.
Anyways, what I was saying was Davis Warren, obviously I don't think Michigan's quarterback room is the best right now, but Alex Orji, no doubt, hands down, much better athlete than Davis Warren. Everyone knows that. You can see it by watching 2 seconds of Alex Orji plays. Obviously, there's a reason why he comes in just to run the football and to be in option packages, because he's a much better athlete than Davis Warren. If you ask Davis Warren to do the same stuff he does, he couldn't do it half as good. But Davis Warren, I think, is a better. I heard Joel Klatt say this earlier. He said Warren is a better. There's a difference between passers and throwers. He compared Alex Orji to a thrower and Davis Warren to a passer. Davis Warren is more of an accuracy guy. He'll just make the simple plays, make the completions, and that's what you need out of a starter. You just need them to make the easy plays. If they do too much, sometimes it can end up costing them big games, but if they do too little, it can also end up costing them big games. So, we'll see what happens with that situation. Maybe they give Alex Orji the start this week. I'm not sure. But I also think Michigan kind of has an advantage running that 2-quarterback system. You don't really know who's going to get thrown at you when. So you got to prepare for 2 different style of players, obviously one polar opposite from the other. So that's that with the quarterback situation.
All right, I'm going to talk about Colston Loveland for just a second. We can move on. Colston Loveland got the ball a lot last week against Fresno State. Let me go back and check his stats. Yeah. 8 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. I do think that Colston Loveland is going to be the weapon that is used the most in the receiving core. And I know I said I was just going to talk about Colston Loveland, but now something caught my eye. I know Dawson said earlier Donovan Edwards didn't have the greatest game, went 11 carries, 27 yards, and 1 touchdown. But someone who surprised me a little bit, Kalel Mullings, 15 carries for 92 yards, no touchdowns.
Boy could not get tackled.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say he is better or like Blake Corum or on the same level as Blake Corum, but I would say he's the type of running back that Blake Corum was. Maybe a little more speed
Beefy.
involved, but I think he's a big bruiser guy.
You guys good?
Yeah.
All right. Upset pick of the week. I got mine. Want me to just go?
I got mine.
Who wants to go? Luke, you want to go
Me.
first?
Yes, so I don't forget.
We're at 31 minutes, so we gotta speed through this stuff.
All
Not
right.
like super fast, but you know what I'm trying to say. We don't want to make it too long for the people.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
All right. For my upset pick, I have the Tulane Green Wave defeating Kansas State. They are at home, so I think this will give Tulane a little bit of an upper hand here against the Wildcats. Kansas State, I'm without Will Howard. They don't have Will Howard because they don't. If you'll let me finish,
Sorry, I was just saying.
they don't have Will Howard. But they do have Avery Johnson. I think Will Howard is better, but I don't think Will Howard is really that good as people are putting him as. And that being said, I also don't. I think the same way of Avery Johnson. I think he's a little overrated. Anyways, this is the Kansas State team who is coming off a 41-6 win against UT Martin. But I think that Tulane is. Now we've seen in recent years that Tulane has been a really good team. Beat USC a couple years back. So I'm taking the Green Wave here for my upset pick.
Philly.
All right, my upset pick. I already mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna take Arkansas.
Sorry, it didn't.
I'm gonna take Arkansas to beat number 16 Oklahoma State on the road in Stillwater. I just think Taylon Green is a very underrated quarterback, and Jaquindon Jackson also in the backfield, a great back. So I think that they have a very good shot to upset a very experienced Cowboys team.
I'm good. I got a mic. Oh, no, I don't. Fumbled it. Okay. So you picked. Who'd you pick? Arkansas. Right. So sorry, I was very zoned out. And Luke.
Yeah, you were earlier whenever I was trying to talk to you too.
All right, Luke, who'd you pick?
For my upset pick,
Yeah, I knew that. I listened to the whole thing. I promise you, I did. I didn't listen to it.
17 people.
For me, I really don't have a reason behind it. I picked Appalachian State. Appy State upsets Clemson. Clemson goes to 0-2. Dabo on fire after this game if he loses. Not just a hot seat, he's on fire if he loses this one. I say Appy State gets an upset. Their biggest win since beating A&M. So, yeah. That's our upset picks of the week. Now, moving on to talking about Ohio State, Michigan, right? So we're getting towards the end of the episode. I'll start because you guys can add whatever you want at the end. So for me, last week Ohio State beat Akron by a score of 52-6. A very good win. Start of the game, a little clunky on offense, but that's always kind of how we start the season. We never start it up and running. Took a little time. Jeremiah Smith dropped his first pass, then had a little false start when he was lined up in a 3-point stance. Why was he? I don't know why he was like that, but I mean, he was not lined up at receiver. He's kind of at tight end, but had a little false start there. But Akron threw a lot at Ohio State's defense. They had two quarterbacks in the game for a little bit. They were handing the ball off to a quarterback who would then throw it. They were pitching it back. They were having him as decoy. I mean, it was crazy. Felt bad for Akron's starting quarterback for Ben Finley. He ended up leaving the game. He had some shoulder problems, had a little head issue earlier when Igbinosun crushed him, which surprised he didn't get targeting, but I don't think it was, but I'm surprised he didn't get thrown out. Will Howard, 17 for 28. I mean, three touchdowns, 228 yards. I mean, it was a good game by him. Henderson and Judkins just felt like to me when Henderson was in the game, the O-line blocked, and when Quinshon came in the game, the O-line didn't. I don't know what was going on there, but they will hopefully get it more up and running next week and be more consistent. Jeremiah Smith, leading receiver, 6 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played great for a freshman. I mean, if he keeps it up like this, him and Ryan Williams will be for the freshman player of the year. Cornell Tate played good with a touchdown. The defense balled out. I mean, it was just the second half was great, and they got the backups in the game, keep people from getting injured. Now, heading on to this week, they play a Western Michigan team who had a close game with Wisconsin till the end of the game, but I think Ohio State handles this one. I mean, they are 38-point favorites. I'm hoping they cover the spread. I would say score like 45-3 ish, something like that. But I think this defense will not let Western Michigan do anything on them, and this quarterback will be in trouble because the D line has started the year hot. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Not much to say. You guys, if you want to talk about last week's game.
Well, not really too much to talk about, but obviously we all saw Fresno State. That game was very sloppy, and can't do that again this week. Play Texas. Very good team, and we need to obviously play better on offense, play a lot better. And I think that's all it's going to take. As long as we play better on offense, I think we can win this game.
Towards the end of the game, we saw Will Johnson with an 86-yard pick six. Hopefully he can do that versus Texas. That's all I got to say. Nothing really. He already said all the stuff.
All right, well, that's going to make this the end of the podcast, but I did say I have an announcement to make. Obviously, we know on this podcast, most of the time, the group of 5 teams don't get shown very much love because we only have a certain amount of time to cover a certain amount of games. So, with that being said, and there's a new 1 playoff spot for them every year. With that being said, I am going to be having my own little mini podcast, kind of just going over what happened in the group of 5 world for the past week. So they get their coverage, and you guys can still learn a little bit about maybe potential new playoff teams that you will see this year. That's all I have for that. I'll be trying to release it on Wednesdays. Every week, Wednesday.
I also have something to say. Coming soon, I will also have my own mini show. It'll just be about 1 minute. More on that. More on that coming soon. Because I haven't really figured out too much yet.
Mine will not be a TikTok or Instagram Reels thing. Mine will just be probably 10, 15-minute YouTube, just like our podcast is. Maybe we'll get it on Spotify soon. I don't know. We'll have to work on that. And we thank you guys for watching this podcast and listening. We hope you guys come back next week for podcast number 30 of the Divided Friendship Podcast, and we will see you on the next one.
Adios.